So in the first part of this lesson, I asked you to watch the video about Mary Seacole and to make some notes as you were listening to that video. Here are my notes, my version of the notes that I made, and I did them in a kind of circle pattern like this. You may have done your notes in a different way and presented them as bullet points or even as a storyboard or drawings, however suits your brain really. Here are the notes that I made from that video. I started off by just explaining that she was Jamaican and was a Creole, and her mother was a healer, and she was inspired by her mother. And then I made a note of the date, 1854, war. Mary wanted to go and be a nurse in the Crimea. So she bought a ticket and she boarded an American ship, but she was made to leave the ship purely because she was black. So she bought another ticket and she arrived in England and went for her interview, then to go to be a nurse. In the interview, she was treated very unfairly and she was told that she wasn't needed, even though she knew that her skills would be really needed. So she decided to go anyway, and she decided what she was going to do was get herself to the Crimea and set up her own hospital once she got there. So she bought another ticket and off she went. She was afraid but determined. Okay, so this is just note form at this stage, all the details of the video so far. Next, I'm going to show you how to turn these notes into a diary entry. I'm going to start you off and then you're going to be on your own for the rest of this lesson having a go at that. Okay, so we're ready to start writing our diary entry. I've just propped my plan up there so I can see it with all my notes on to refer back to. Now, one thing I need to bear in mind is this is a different piece of writing from yesterday. Yesterday we wrote a biography about Rosa Parks, so we needed to include all the information about her early childhood and where she was born. Today is different because we're writing a diary entry as if we are Mary Seacole. So we wouldn't be saying things like, I was born in Jamaica. We wouldn't be saying that information because we're going to be writing as if we're her. So looking at my plan, really, I'm going to be starting my diary entry around here at point 3 on my plan where she buys the ticket, and then I'll work through the events that happened in this section. I don't need to include this information here, although it's really interesting and important. It's not relevant for this style of writing. Okay. So I'm going to start, as most diary entries start, with Dear Diary, and I must remember my comma. Okay, I'm going to start my diary entry as if it's the morning and as if Mary has just woken up on the day that she buys the ticket and she travels to the Crimea. So I'm going to say what time of day it is and what I'm doing. So I'm just to say, I'm going to write my diary entry in the past tense. So I'm going to imagine that perhaps it's the evening of that day or the next day, and she's looking back over the events of that day, which is why it's going to be written in the past tense. So I'm going to start with something like this. I'm sure you'll do a better job than me. You'll have longer to think. So I woke up early this morning. Now I want to make the point that this is an important day, and she kind of already knows it's going to be an important day. So to make that point, I'm going to say, I woke up early this morning with a sick feeling of, now what is this feeling? I'm going to say it's a sick feeling of anticipation. That's if you're waiting for something to happen, and possibly excitement in my gut. That's where she's feeling it. Okay, I woke up early this morning with a sick feeling of anticipation and excitement in my gut. I want to say why she's feeling this way, so I'm going to explain. I knew that today was the day that, instead of just saying what it is she's going to do, I'm going to say I knew that today was the day that I would fulfill my dreams, because we know that this is something she had ambition to do, that I would fulfill my dreams and travel to the Crimea. Now, I just want to, obviously, if you are Mary Seacole, you'd know the reasons why you want to travel to the Crimea, but for the purposes of the audience reading this, I'm going to add something like, I just had to help those poor soldiers. Okay, here's part one of my diary entry. I woke up early this morning with a sick feeling of anticipation and excitement in my gut. I knew that today was the day that I would fulfill my dreams and travel to the Crimea. I just had to help those poor soldiers. Okay, over to you guys now. Feel free to magpie any ideas you want to from my opening of my diary, and then you carry on yourself. Use your notes to help to remind you what happened, and work through your notes. You're stopping at the point where she's actually on the boat and off she was on her way. So you need to include the part about the interview and where she was told she wasn't needed and all of that section too. Okay, good luck. We'd love to see your finished diary entries. So please take a photo if you can once you finish your work and email it to us, and we'd love to have a look. Speak to you soon. Bye.